Take some breaths, bring your attention to our relatedness here and our quest for understanding this grand mystery of relatedness. Allow yourself to settle on a therapeutic experience, a therapeutic relationship. I'm assuming that most of you, if not all of you, have been in therapy. But if you haven't been in therapy, you've been in some kind of therapeutic relatedness, an experience of a special relationship that's for the purpose or the intention of healing, of growing. It might have been a relationship that was for the purpose of solving a problem or moving forward in your life or understanding something. What Jean calls the big therapy relationship is the relationship, and it may not even be conscious that this is it, that the relationship is for the purpose of being more of yourself, growing yourself. So I'd like you to bring in that experience of what that felt like, the sensibility, the flavor. Before we started, Gray was talking about missing Jonathan, and who had been in this class previously, and the flavor of that missing, of that relationship. It's so much more complicated than I miss this about the person, I miss this about the person, although that's there too. But there's something that is an actual physically felt experience of the relationship, of the quality of it, of how it lives in you. And when you settle into this relationship, see if you can find that quality. And of course, it will have different qualities at different times and different moments. But there may be one that will pop up, emerge right now. There may be a sound or even a smell or a bodily experience of being. See if there are any words that go with it, what that person might be saying to you, or you saying to them, or what might be going on. And you might want to jot down a couple of words or images that capture the feeling of that relationship, the very, very particular sensibility of it. And just raise your hand when you find that, and knowing that you can come back to it. It's such a big question, right? The whole mystery of what relationship is in this felt sense and being able to find the felt sense. You know, if somebody asked you about this therapy relationship, you probably wouldn't come up with this flavor, this sensibility. You'd probably come up with much more cognitive things. Oh, I learned this, I got that, I didn't get this, I wasn't able to ask that. So know that you can come back to this question, and let's come back together. Yes, Arlene.
It was a quality of him being with me. So if I was talking about something relating to being in the room at the time, he was connected to that. If talking about being in San Francisco or somewhere else, it was like a surprised me early on that wherever I was, there he was, kind of. An interesting sense, physical sense of I wasn't alone anywhere.
Wow. Yes. Wherever you were, he was there.
Right.
And it was surprising.
Surprised,
You weren't alone.
yes, at the time, it really surprised me.
That's a beautiful way of saying it.
For me, what came when I was thinking of a therapist with whom I felt all of that, that I could be more, that I could get in contact with my felt sense. The image that came was a big space, a big space. The words were safety and openness, and this big space, like a space into which I could feel more, sense more, think more, even be more.
Wow. A big space into which you could feel more, think more, be more. Wow. Notice how different in some ways Arlene's and Natty's are, and the overlap in it also. Anybody else? Yes. Gosha.
Yeah, hi. What came for me was a bit like Nadi's, but it was silence, embracing and allowing really spacious silence.
Spacious silence. I'm trying these on. Probably you are also. Each time we hear from someone, trying on that felt sense, imagining it.
Yeah, I can add that I just got off the phone with a session with a couple. I see them individually and as a couple, and they're just both 40, and this is the second month of their newborn child, their first. I've seen them over the years. We were renegotiating because their whole life has changed, and a fear, really a sense of two things. One, that we could talk, we were very open with each other and what they were struggling with and how it affected all of us. And we were dear to each other, and a real tenderness toward each other that allowed for, in all of us, a listening and for very deep feelings just to start bubbling to the surface in all of us. And we all shared, and they decided they were in absolutely having a normal problem in an abnormal situation, because they're working, they're professional people, this is their first child, they're in their 40s, that they're perfectly normal, having sleep deprivation and trouble communicating with each other. But very tender relationship.
I want to say a couple of those words back. The dearness, the tenderness, and the feeling of a group, an interaction there of all of you feeling more and experiencing more. I love the word dearness and tenderness there.
I can go. So I see a therapist in Israel. We work online, and when I go to Israel, I see her in person. And I'm saying that because the things that come from me are different when I see her in person or when I work online. When I see her in person, I feel a lot of sweetness in the air. And there is a sense that our bodies are connected, probably from the heart. The thing that came to me, surprisingly, was green pepper. It feels like green pepper. Because green pepper is not sweet. It's fresh, but it's a bit bitter. It's not as sweet as the red pepper. And there was something about this green pepper that is life. There's life in there. It felt like life. So That's what comes up for me.
Wow. That there's such a wonderful sensuality, right? In that felt sense. The green pepper. And I think I could feel that.
I'm noticing the similarity between my experience with a therapist and being pregnant, where particularly later on in the therapy, I always felt like I had company with me. And connecting with the therapist in some ways feels like it docked my system, and the presence of just them throughout the week, or when I wasn't actually with them, was significant.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that analogy of being pregnant and being with the therapist inside. It to me, that idea of having a partner inside, in a way, it's a kind of very concretized image that the therapist becomes part of yourself, and you're imagining what the therapist will say when you're in therapy, and you have that sense of partnership. In another way, it seems very descriptive to me that that therapy is developing this inner other, that you have that person's voice. And when I am getting more connected to a client, I also develop that inner client, and I know what that client would say about this or that. I mean, not that it's necessarily true, but I develop an inner this person, or an inner that person. It's kind of interesting to imagine about a particular client that you might be struggling with, what that client would say about their felt sense of the relationship with you, and what it would feel like to them inside. Yeah, Liz.
The phrase that I got was inflatable mother.
Huh.
And he was a man, a very large man, overweight, as we might say. And he said he always thought of himself as a mother to his clients rather than a father, even though he was a father.
Yes.
But something where he could kind of inflate, get smaller with you, expand with you, very much, in that empathy cohut.
Right.
Be with you. And I experience it as a physical, like breathing together. Now we're big. Oh, now we're small.
The movement, almost like a heartbeat or breathing
together.
Yeah, right. I just had this memory that just to add in something discordant, when I was a young therapist and I was in a collective of therapists, and this one woman was talking about engaging a new client and challenging the client and bringing out the rage of the client's aggression. And I was so shocked. I thought, my God, this is the way you make a bond with a client? And she laughed at me, and she said, you think that bonds are all made of sweetness and light? I can make a bond with a client so much quicker with rage. And I always thought about that. And I thought, I wonder what that really was like. And I have, of course, supervised people who had rage related bonds with their therapist and so forth. But at that time, it was so shocking to me. Still is, I have to admit. It still seems like an amazing thing that you would bond with a new person through rage. I've learned through the years and through focusing not to dismiss anything, that there are so many kinds of growth experiences that do so many different things.